Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We are at 1736 Milliken Creek Street here in Lafayette, located almost straight out from the front door. We're just offset to that, straight out from the window here really. We got a 3-inch ABS cleanout as our point of access. And check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Waters are running. We're going to zero out here right as we drop to the bottom of the cleanout. Off we go. Here in the last wipe. I think that's a wipe in the line there. We're going to revisit that on the way out there. It kind of looks like a wipe. You get a really weird view of it. That or it is a gargantuan amount of pipe glue. I'll have to take a second look at that. There's a few places in here where the pipe glue was used a little heavy-handed. For the most part, it's pretty smoothed out, not a big deal, but that spot back there, that might be pipe glue. Transitioning here to 4-inch 3034 PVC. Going underneath the secondary cleanout there. I think those are at the very front edge of the grass. Yeah, just turn around and look there. Right before the grass meets the sidewalk, you got a steel cover plate. And I'm going to do some locates. I think this is the neighborhood where, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if I recall, I think they planted every single sapling tree in the yard directly on top of the transition joints. It's this neighborhood or one out near here. One thing you will find out if you've scoped as many lines as I have, which is about 25,000 at this point, transition joints are the weakest joints in your line to root intrusions. And not every joint is going to get a root intrusion, but planting a tree on top of a transition joint is not a spot where you want to put them. I do recommend rescoping. Unfortunately, by the time roots often reach a sewer line, it usually takes time for it to happen, but I do suggest doing a rescope periodically to watch for it. I'll do some locates to verify that as we come back in here. But I think this is the neighborhood where just about every tree is over the top of the transition. Anyway, we've reached the main here at 48 feet. We're going to do some locating really quick here to verify where the line terminates, and then we'll pull back in once the pipe's drained. All right, line terminates out on Milliken Creek. And the line here does a pretty straight shot. If you walk on a straight line out towards the street, you'll see an S stamped in the curb. That's where the line crosses the street curb. And I'm going to probably have to do a little bit of review. I've got a really nasty light glare on my screen right now. Between that and the wind, I can't keep my umbrella over the top of my screen to shade it. Mostly as it relates to that big hunk of glue, or potentially a hunk of glue anyway. That I'm going to have to take a closer look at in better lighting to see. It looks very reminiscent of how when a cleaning wipe or something of that nature goes down the line and gets hung up. It kind of has that appearance. Glue, when it gets really gooped in there, can have a similar look to it, especially if water cruises over it before it's completely cured. It'll kind of shape it into the form of what kind of looks like a rag or a wipe. And I just went to double check here. This one's not quite as bad as some of the ones I've had in the neighborhood, but the transition is still, it's about 2 feet away from the tree is. The one plus side is the lines here are quite deep. You're about 7 foot 7 inches deep there. I would still suggest re-scoping at some point, you know, within probably the next 2 or 3 years. These are sapling trees. They're putting out roots right now. It's not a bad idea. I would do it here and there just to watch for that. Yes, if that were a wipe there, my camera should be moving it around. I'm going to take a better look at this in better lighting here, but the rigidity of that, the way it's just not really moving. I'm going to locate this too really quick. In the event, there are some milling machines out there, flex shaft style machines. You can put sanding paddles on. You can grind this kind of stuff down. There's enough there. If it weren't so thick, it's something I'd probably not mention a whole lot. But I am going to recommend that get removed there. So for some reason that couldn't get removed there. You're about 2 foot 7 inches deep here, just a couple feet out from the clean out. But I do recommend trying to drain clean that thing loose there. And the lighting I've got right now, the coloration of that is similar to the pipe glue. That may very well be what it is. There's a few different things that can go down your line that can solidify that way. Tile grout is one of them. So anyway, whatever it is, I do recommend that get removed there. It's about an inch thick at its worst point. So otherwise, the rest of the line here looks great. Has great flow and is functioning properly at this time. That spot there, though, is thick enough and large enough to potentially catch debris. Especially the kind of stuff that kids like to flush down the toilet, you know, balled up toilet paper, things like that. That's a concern there, is the line's lost enough diameter. It is at least on a where the line starts to hit a pretty good downhill slope. But you've lost enough diameter there. It's jutting up into the flow line well enough that can catch stuff as it comes through the line. So I recommend that get cleaned out of there or removed in general. I would try to start with drain cleaning if you can do that. That's ideal. However, if it does have to be dug up, it's about 2 foot 7 inches deep here, just out from the clean out.